All right, guys, let's get going here with our pre-market routine. It is Wednesday, May 14th, and let's go ahead and get started here. We just discussed here on the Euro with Ray. He asked a quick question here, and I want to reiterate one more time what we came up with. He was talking about maybe a potential pullback here and a nice sell-off here. That looks really great. I just wanted to point out that there's no real break of price structure here. Basically, to take this one would be the same as taking something like this, which failed, this, which failed, this, which failed. So basically, what I'm saying is, I would look back and look for more of a break of price structure when drawing Fibonacci's. Basically, if you were to take this one, then you would say, well, this is the exact same setup, and so on and so forth, and all these other failed, and this one finally would have worked out. So what I'm saying is maybe look for a break of price structure to find a little bit better established Fibonacci moves. So once you start to see that we're inside of this range here, we start to get a range, say this one failed. Oh, it did not break any highs, so we're not drawing anything to the long side. It did not break any lows, so we can't draw anything to the short side, and so on and so forth. Until we break out of this little range, there will not be any Fibonacci's drawn, any type of rally. Fibonacci's are somewhat of a trend following tool, more of a rallying tool. So yes, it would not be the best times to draw. Not pointing at Raymond, but he made a good point, and he kind of him and I are in agreement here that yeah, a breakout of this range would absolutely be the optimal time to go ahead and take position. But definitely a great learning pattern here, because you will get these ones that work out inside of a range. You get in a range bound motion, you will have little pullbacks inside ranges that do work out. Now, if you have a big enough range, we can still be able to get a pullback at the highs, selling the highs, and same thing at the lows. But as far as buying and selling, try not to get stuck buying or selling inside the middle of the ranges. That is chop zone. That's a danger zone. No trade zone whenever you get in the middle of a range. So, which is kind of where we were just now with this pullback, kind of shorting right in the middle of the range, and just something we can go over. That's a very good question, very good topic, and I just wanted to cover here real fast and make sure that was kind of clear, if that makes sense. So hope that helps out some of you guys. The reason I went over that again, Ray, is because if one person has the question, I'm sure multiple people are thinking about the same thing. So hopefully that helps out, guys. Hopefully that helps out. So, anyways, let's start looking at some of these stock index futures. Last night's video was titled, we just talked about it. All right, Ray, very cool. All right, last night's video was titled what? It was titled, will today's market set up for a pullback in tomorrow's market? We talked about the Russell and how the Russell had sold off yesterday, while the other three stock index futures were actually holding very, very strong. So if the Russell was going to rally into the close yesterday, we could see them all come in today with a nice healthy rally look. That's not the case. The Russell did not rally into the close yesterday. We had a Russell close lower. So here we talked about, if the Russell can't, look for the other three to have a rollover early morning. So that was yesterday's video if you want to look that up. So going into this morning, basically from yesterday's close into today, what were we looking for? We're looking for the Russell to drag some of these other instruments down. As you see, the Russell here, Russell's without a doubt the most bearish of all the stock index futures. We have resistance right through here, right here around the 1140, 1139, and we also have intermediate momentum holding us down. What I mean by that is the 50 and 100 period moving average, as long as this, along with this previous swing high, right there at the same level, we found nice resistance there after the thrust to the upside. And after the thrust to the upside, we're either looking for one of three things. We're looking for a slight continuation, pause, or a pullback. Russell got the pullback. The other three stock index futures got the pause. So with the Russell pulling back and the other three pausing, the Russell was definitely to the selling off yesterday. The other three were pushing higher to sideways. Now you got three of them pushing up. You got one pushing down. Look for the three to join the one. Sure enough, what's going on right now in the pre-market? We'll come back to this and do a little more thorough analysis. Sure enough, what's going on? Let's just pull up the Dow, or we can pull up any of them. You can see that we went ahead and we had a little pre-market drop here. Pre-market drop in the Dow. Same way with the S&P. Let's go over to the S&P. We got a little pre-market drop here in the S&P as well. But let's see here. We're gonna come up with some price levels. We're gonna see if we can come up with some price levels. See if there's an area for this to hold. If we can get the Russell to stop selling off, maybe there's an area for us to hold, and maybe we can get another bounce back to the upside. If not, we're going to start looking for short bias trades here moving forward. So let's go ahead and let's define some areas, and then we'll wait for the market to go ahead and play out, and we'll see what we can get moving forward. So start off with the Russell. Is there anywhere for this Russell to stop to the downside? Yeah. Right here we have actually the 8 period, or faster period moving average. The Russell is sitting right at that right now as we speak. That is going to be a very, very, very good launching point for us to start from. We have the 8 period coming up on it, the 200 still holding this market somehow, and then we have all this support down below. Now, if we're going to rally to the upside, I don't want to see it come all the way back down and retest support way down here around the 1080 or 1090 level. We want to see it definitely stay above this 8 period moving average and start to get a little bounce here. But if that's the case, we're getting into a little bit of a congestion area. You see all these moving average, all this momentum, all getting pinched right in here into this one level, getting really pinched in here, right into this little level here. So be very cautious, but this is kind of an indication moving forward. If we can get a bounce, I want to get a bounce up inside of yesterday's range and then look to buy it. If we sell off, we get down below this 8 period moving average, and we get plenty of room from an intraday standpoint to go ahead and take short side opportunities all the way back down towards this 200 period moving average, and even down towards a big run number of 1100. So in the Russell, we will look at yesterday's trading range. If we can get up inside of yesterday's lows, we look for buying opportunities to sell this, to buy this thing back up towards them highs. If we start to sell off, get below this 8 period moving average, basically get below where we're trading right now, and start to look for downside opportunity once we break down below there. Plenty of downside opportunity, plenty of upside opportunity. We just need to get some momentum, whether it be back inside of yesterday's range, outside of yesterday's range. Tell us which way the buyers. Are we going to get back up inside yesterday's range and start to buy back up towards them highs? Or are we going to go ahead and sell off and get back down towards basically the lows of Monday's candlestick? So pull up the NASDAQ here. NASDAQ's having a little pullback as to be expected, as we talked about the 3 to the 1 setting up here. Got a nice little pullback here on the NASDAQ here. We pulled right back to S1 right now. Also, resistance from these previous swings, coming right into that. If we were able to get a bid, look for upside opportunity. If we do not, like I said, this is going to be a play on where the momentum comes into play after the market opens. Are we going to get a true pullback? Say the Russell keeps on falling, they're all going to keep on falling. We're going to go ahead and look. We have plenty of downside opportunity, watching out for all this support in through here. So there is a little room for the NASDAQ to go ahead and run here from a daily perspective. Let me blow this up. There's a little bit more room here for the NASDAQ to go ahead and move, but not a ton. Once we start to sell off, we get into these rising moving average. I would recommend just taking a pause, because it's going to cause some whippiness in the market, some volatility, just a little bit of slop and chop. That's also going to be about the 50% pullback from the low to the high. So it's going to cause a little bit of slop and chop in there. So be a little bit cautious whenever that time comes. The Dow is definitely holding nice and strong here. Strongest of the four. Had actually a nice little rally to the upside. really not pulling back at all. The only type of pullback I would be concerned of is if we get back down inside of Monday's candle bar and we start to get some negative momentum. If that's the case, you could look to sell them all the way down towards this rising period, 8-period moving average, this faster period moving average. That's also going to come into play with some of these previous swing highs. So if we can get a sell off, look for it to retest that level and then maybe take a pause when it gets there. If we get some buyers in here, we get some buyers in the Russell, buyers in the other stock index futures, the upside is endless. So you can go ahead and trade anything to the upside. The S&P is going to look a lot like the Dow. S&P here, with the S&P going ahead and pulling back a little bit more than the Dow, we can potentially look for it to sell back off. But as long as we stay inside of that Monday's range, we're going to go ahead and look for sell opportunities, being cautious with the rising 8-period and previous resistance. Now support, being cautious with them levels, but there's really less opportunity to the downside here. Being inside this range, we only can look to the downside. If we start to get a rally, we start to get a pop back to the upside, we can get back up above Monday's range, start getting some bids, start getting some pop here with the Russell here popping as well. The S&P is just like the Dow. We have tons and tons of room and opportunity to the upside if we can get there. So going to be very interesting to see what we get here. A lot of this is us sitting on our hands and waiting for the U.S. Open and waiting for this market to see. Are there more buyers going to come in here, or are there more sellers going to come in here? We got our pre-market drop, our early morning drop from yesterday's market action with the 3-to-1. Now let's see if we're going to get follow through, or is this thing going to go ahead and get a pop back to the upside. Path of least resistance is without a doubt to the upside. So look for further upside opportunity if we can get it. If not, it's going to be a little bit of a patient day waiting to see if we can get opportunities here to the downside. The Russell, or the crude, I'm sorry about that. The crude, we was inside this slop and shop for about 2 weeks, and then sure enough, we got a break. We got a break to the upside. That was our expected move based upon our Fibonacci, our pullback. We've still been holding this Fibonacci pullback. Even though we've jostled in here, we've still been able to hold it. The move is still to the upside. Even though we have sideways momentum, the momentum is sideways to up, and we finally did get that break. We got that break to the upside. Look for further upside opportunity here in the crude. Any type of pullback is just a better buying opportunity. Gold, still stuck in this range, guys. Still stuck in here. But like the S&P, we got this ratio pullback. It is holding, even though it's oscillating here, it is still holding, but the anchor leg is to the upside. See if we can get a break out of one of these ranges and maybe provide us with a little higher percentage opportunity than what we're dealing with right now. I wanted to point out the bonds here. With the stock index futures at all-time highs pulling back, look at these bonds. See if these bonds continue to rally higher. If the bonds continue to rally higher, it's going to be very difficult for them stock index futures to continue any higher than they already have. So definitely going to be a measurement here. Definitely going to be a point to pay attention to. The bond you see has reached its maximum daily range statistically, with it sitting right here at the R2. So statistically, this is it for it, but there are times that it can just go ahead and keep on pushing higher, which it looks like it wants to. So I'm definitely going to be watching the bonds and the VIX throughout the day, see what they're doing, see if they're getting any crazy rallies, or if they're just pausing and just being a little bit quiet. But definitely going to be an interesting day. Going to have to wait and see the market open and see where the volume is starting to trade, whether people are coming in and they're becoming bullish, or they take this little pre-market pullback as a kind of a bearish nature. So definitely going to be a very interesting open here. But should we have some pretty decent trading opportunities going into the day. Are there any questions here, guys? Any questions about what we just went over? Any questions about our pre-market analysis today? everybody pretty much on the same page as far as what we're looking for, and you know, you know, basically the setups and price levels that we'd like to see broken or traded at. Yes, I am looking for crude in the longer direction. Any type of pullback, I would look for a reset and then another bounce back to the upside. I'm going to be a little bit struggled to take any shorter opportunities today. The only time I would look short on the crude would be getting back down inside of yesterday's range with some momentum. Um, Meaning that if we do breach yesterday's high in the crude with momentum, um, it has a high likelihood to go ahead and start to sell back towards yesterday's lows, but we'll see if that happens. Any other questions here with the stock index futures or any of this stuff? I think it's worth taking a look at. All right, guys, we got the U.S. Open here in a matter of 3 seconds. Yep, and crude inventories today, guys. In 1 hour, we have crude inventories, something to take note of. So, all right, let's see these markets open up and see what type of moves we get here, and we will start to look for opportunities here.